What's that? You like that? Better. All right,
Right, watch this one gets copyright
I'm
claim.
keeping all the. Well, yeah, I'll keep this in. This is Paul Mythos. I'm Brian here with Larry, and you just heard our new intro. um, Spencer's not with us today. He had something going on. He could call in the middle of the recording. I don't know, but yeah, we're going to talk about 1883 and episode number 7, Lightning Yellow Hair. This episode was amazing. Might be my favorite of the season. I don't know. I'd have to really think about that, but it's up there. I mean, there's so much. It's essentially 2 episodes in one because by the time you get to the first major conflict, that being the tornado sequence, then all of a sudden it's like, no, that's not the end of the episode. You got a whole other situation going on, an epic battle. Um, yeah, what was just your initial thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, just the same as you said. It was incredible. It was packed with so much content, and there was a surprising amount of stuff happening in this episode because, well, the rest of the series is incredible. It usually goes at a slower pace, so it was a little unexpected to see so much happen.
Yeah. So basically the focus of this episode was the character Sam. Sam is a Native American who's there's basically this sort of the politics of the land where you sort of have to pay a tax for, I guess, safe passage. That seemed to be the implication. And so he comes in, and they're guests, and they hang out with the crew, and basically he sparks a little relationship with Elsa that develops into the fun little race sequence. And then throughout the episode, it progresses more and more, and they form a legit bond. It's a fun, the series is really, it's about Elsa. It's about her growing up. Romance is a part of the story, and I really enjoyed sort of the dynamic between those two characters.
Yeah, yeah, same here. And it may seem a little fast for a rebound, but I guess it's the times then
Dude,
and there.
tornadoes and bullets, man. That'll speed up.
Exactly. Yeah. It's speeding up a lot for a lot of people. God, what's Shay's number two guy? Uh,
Thomas.
Thomas. Yeah, Thomas' relationship happened because her husband died, and right away she's like, I got to find somebody. Because like I said, that was the nature of the beast back in those days, and they don't have much to their name at the moment, and not a lot of options really. So you know, I guess find love wherever you can. Uh, but uh, but yeah, Sam was definitely a cool addition to this series. I'm almost hoping by the end of it, I was really hoping that he'd travel with them, but it's seeming like he's going to stay in this territory roughly.
I agree because I mean it was such a cool character because he comes in, they sparked their little relationship, but every time they needed help, this dude came out of nowhere. When the tornadoes hitting, they're just like, oh, we're screwed, and Sam's there, takes them to safety. Um, and then in the battle, there's a moment where Elsa is on her own being pursued, and it looks pretty, helpless at that point. It's like, what are you going to do? She's shooting back, but she's outnumbered, and Sam swoops in for the kill.
Yeah, that was definitely an all is lost moment, and like there was no way she was going to kill all those people on her own. I figured she might get a few of them if anything, but something had to happen. Like you said, Sam was definitely the star of the show this episode, and it's going to be weird having a character make this big of an impact if he's not featured later in the series at some point. I think I was saying to you earlier, I'm starting to wonder, like are the Duttons, like is Sam an ancestor potentially?
Yeah, it's such a strong bond they form really quickly. Yeah, you would think that like they would be a couple. I really enjoyed the scene where, well, there's a lot of scenes with him, as I said, I enjoyed, but when he explained his name, because he says Sam and she's like Sam, and he's I mean, this is some hardcore shit. He's like, I took the name of the man who killed my wife. I was like, whoa. um
Yeah, that's some crazy shit, right? He killed that guy and took his name,
I took
you
his
know,
name. It's like,
and
whoa.
said he's burdened forever with that sadness, and it's just they both suffered the same kind of loss, and they're bonding over that loss and just sort of a mutual understanding of each other that a lot of people in their groups just don't get, so they have an understanding, but they seem to also have kind of an understanding throughout the series that they've got two very different goals in life, which is the only thing that seems to really separate them at this point.
The it's interesting. The episode, as much action as it had, and especially that last like 15 minutes, it started with a lot of comedy, specifically with the cook. So we were introduced to this character last week. They need a cook. They need someone that can carve up the cattle in an efficient way, so that it's not wasteful. And so they hire this guy in town. He comes with them, and he's a little bossy. He's trying to explain to everyone, how he serves and just how, the process of getting your meal. And he's using the F word a bunch. And there's a funny little thing where Margaret's pissed off because her little kids hearing it and asking what the word means. And so it was a comedy bit. I thought it worked fine. I thought it was funny. And it sort of, that first chunk of the episode was sort of lighthearted because you had that. Then you had Sam and Elsa do the race. So I really liked the way the episode was structured.
Yeah, it really was. Like I said, it very lighthearted start, which is cool, and definitely, uh, contrasts well with what happened later. But yeah, I am curious, like, would that be this kid's first time hearing an F bomb?
I can't imagine. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's 1883, and they're in the West and everything. I doubt it. I seriously doubt it.
The going off that scene, so we don't see the cook again for a while, and he actually sort of disappears. So the night comes, and everybody's looking at Shay, and everybody's like, "Where's the cook?" And Sam and his crew are like, "Yeah, we got to go. That storm's coming." Turns out the cook, he knew the storm was coming. He knew how bad it was going to be. And so he just took off to sort of miss the storm. And then he meets back up with the group at the end. So I thought it was funny. I wasn't sure how they were going to approach it, if they were going to be mad at him or how that was going to work out. But they basically, because he still had the food, it was sort of worked out for the best.
Yeah, at first I thought he ran off with their food and with their money because he was mad about being slapped and everything and about the conflict earlier. And I thought that would be Shay's assumption too. I thought when they caught up with him that Shay was going to shoot him right away. But like you said, it worked out, and probably for the better for the group, because someone's got to cook, these meals and ration it out and turn it into, like, jerky and whatnot. So, good thing that worked out.
After the tornado, let's just talk about the tornado scene. That
was
could
crazy.
you imagine? I've been through several in my lifetime. Been around them all the way back into the 90s. I've always lived in tornado zones. You have too.
Yeah.
and it is horrifying when you really think about it, because there's just nothing you really can do. There's not much. And this was it was that times 10, because they're in the middle of a field. There's nowhere you can go. So that, they did the best they could. The visuals were amazing. The VFX, the way they did everything, I love. Seeing the wagons thrown through the air, everyone freaking out, going to the ground, and even the process of, okay, you got to let your horses go, because they're gonna run off with the cart, so you might as well let them go. They should outrun the storm, hopefully. You don't know, but it's your hope. So even the process of what you do in that scenario on a trail like this was sort of explained. So great sequence. Of course, we get the Elsa kissing Sam scene. Really cool the way the storm, the tornado moved over them. But what were your thoughts on just sort of the whole tornado sequence?
The show does a really good job of showing you how intense that kind of scenario would be back then, I think, because yeah, like you said, we've lived in tornado zones our entire life and experienced enough of them. Heck, recently I was right in the middle of one.
Yeah, you
Like,
were right in the middle of one.
I was literally, but the shelter we run to is like, okay, I'm in this enclosed area. There's all this brick around me protecting me or whatever. They were laying in ditches. I've never had to lay in a ditch to protect myself from a storm, or just lay down flat. That's crazy, because the worst we have nowadays is like, okay, you're on the road and maybe you park under a bridge or something, you know, to to do it. I mean, to protect yourself that way. I mean, it's literally leaving it up to chance because that's all you've got.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that's it. Like
That's all you can
there
do.
was nothing because I wasn't sure because they kept, they started to build up the storm a little bit, but I did not expect a tornado. And then when I saw it forming, I was like, oh shit. And and even they all sort of looked a little like, what's going on? And only a few people were like, oh, I know what that is. Depending on where you live, whether or not you see them often. Um, so yeah, I'll go ahead.
I'll just say that's another thing I'm gonna have to look up because we talk about how little the they seem to know. I was like, come on now, there's got to be tornadoes in Germany.
I really don't know the answer to that. If anybody knows, are there tornadoes in Germany? Um, they're like, what is that?
It's that they get surprised by so many things.
You don't drink lake water.
Right?
Um, at the end of the storm, I think we were settled on Noemi was how her name was pronounced or something like that. Thomas's girlfriend. At
Yeah.
this point, they're straight up a couple. But we have the moment the mirror is broken, her stuff's destroyed, and she sits there and she's, in tears and she's like, it's over. I have nothing. And he looks at her and he says, yes, you do. And he's like, I will protect you. I will take care of you. I have money. And to me, that was the moment where he was just like, I got you. Don't
Right.
worry. I will protect you. As long as Thomas draws breath, she will be taken care of.
Yeah, yeah, and that was a great moment to see them, get to that point, but also just sort of ominous as well because as we mentioned
Very.
before, yeah, things are settling here. Like, okay, I'm worried both of you aren't going to make it to the end of this journey, and that said, them being this close, it's like, okay, Thomas is going to have to talk to these kids directly at some point, because she has kids, and I've never seen Thomas talk to them.
I still think that's a budget thing. They don't want to pay the kids. Like they don't have any lines.
That's probably it. That's
Eat,
probably what it
just
is.
sit there and eat this porridge. Um, so we get to the big battle. Epic, crazy battle that I did not expect at all, especially with the tornado. Matter of fact, I'm looking when they started building it up, they're like, oh, our cattle. Oh, I saw people out there. It's like, oh, what? I'm checking the time. How much time's left? I'm like, oh, there's a decent little bit of time. They assume it's only 6. Turns out it was double that. The entire crew there still in their cattle. They go on the run. They're pursued. People split off. That's why we brought up earlier Elsa going off and Sam having to save her. Everyone's in the gun battle. Everyone's shooting. Elsa was pulling the trigger. Everybody was doing what they had to do, and pretty much everyone got hit. Shay, Thomas, James, they all got wounded in the battle. Um, and it was sort of like you just said earlier, ominous because they're sitting there sort of at the end of the battle they won and they're celebrating to some degree, but the idea making the joke, wow, you used up all your lives, oh, it looks like you used up all yours. And I have the feeling they did in fact use up all of their lives. I don't know how many more gun battles we will see without there being a major death. We had Enos we lost a couple back, but I think one of these main guys, I don't know how many more episodes they'll be around.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely seems like that. Like, that was these characters, that was the God, sort of the red herring that, hey, this is it. I may be using that term wrong, but that this is it, guys. This is the last battle. You're both going to survive. You're going to start losing people after this. In fact, I thought, especially when he was checking his hat and everything, I thought Shay was already dead.
There was a split second I did too. I thought he had a fatal wound and didn't realize it.
It definitely was sort of framed that way, where it's like, oh God, he's bleeding. He takes off his hat, and how bad is this going to be? Like, but it also brings up the other possibility because we mentioned that Thomas, maybe left to take care of the kids, but Thomas may die to protect her and the kids as well. And Shay, this is seems to be Shay's last go around anyway, and it seems like this is him doing one last good thing before he goes. So I really don't see Shay surviving the journey regardless.
And who the hell is Charlie?
Charlie.
Dude that shows up at the end?
Yeah, I was okay. So I wasn't the only one confused about that.
I was sitting there and I wrote the name down there like Charlie, and everybody's like, "Oh shit, it's Charlie," and I'm like, "Who is this guy? Like, what did I miss or what? Wait, what?"
Yeah, I was gonna go back and wiki that, see if there was like if he was in one of the earlier episodes or.
Like, matter of fact, let me see right now, because I was like, "Who? What did?" Yeah, it felt like I was missing something. Like,
It really did. I don't remember him from any earlier episodes. I don't remember any conversations with Charlie. He got a very distinct voice. I'm pretty sure I remember if he was in this season earlier.
Yeah, if you Google it, everybody's like, "Who is Charlie?"
Like, was he maybe in episode 1 and mentioned that he was going the same way or something, or in was it Texas before they left Texas? You know, that's the only thing I can think of because I don't recall seeing Charlie on this journey at all.
But it was funny. I mean, there was a great scene where so they roll in and they hear that there's okay, there's going to be a gun battle. And so Margaret's just like, "Well, I'm going." So she grabs a gun and she looks at the guys and she's like, "Watch my son. Protect him with your life." And then we get another little sort of comedy scene, where he's just like, "You want to look for grasshoppers?" And they're just like, okay." So I enjoyed that. And speaking of Margaret, so yet again, she's put in a situation where she has to do something that she wouldn't want to do. And in this case, she has to kill a man. We don't see the ramifications for that, but we hear about it because Elsa's talking about it in her journal or, whatever, her monologue. And she basically says that her mom, was very quiet. She was crying. And that in her eyes, she's like, we're all going to hell except, I guess, the little boy, John. So yet again, Margaret, she got through a lot of stuff last week, and now more, horrible things are happening to her. And to piggyback on that, we also saw the head. I didn't write his name down. The guy that's sort of the spokesperson for the crew for the Germans the Germans. He broke down. He had a complete breakdown in this episode and just emotionally was having a difficult time. So we're still seeing the weight of these events and how it affects certain people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where I wonder if he'll survive it himself, or if he'll at the very least survive the depression or the mental weight of this journey. If that'll be too much for him. And Margaret, I think, will be fine because we've seen her go through so much already. But him, I don't know about. Her, on the other hand, she'll be fine, I think. That said, I'm curious. Like it felt like a half baked plan. She knew they were going after, people who stole their cattle and everything, and they after 6 gunmen, and it seemed like they were already pretty far along by the time she head out. Didn't seem like a well thought out plan to take a shotgun and go after Elsa.
A horrible plan. Yeah,
Right.
she never really encountered the battle. She did stumble upon one of the guys from the battle, but that was it, and he's the one she killed.
Yeah, and exactly, and he tried to rob her and everything, and she looked out and drew before he could, and he was already shot and everything. Yeah, that could have gone horribly. She should have like sent Enos or something because Enos is
Well, not Enos.
not Enos, my bad. Enos is boy. What's
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Enos.
The other guy.
Yeah.
He was chilling with Charlie and John. Should have sent Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie would have handled it.
You got it.
We all know about Charlie's gunmanship,
Like nobody stands a chance if we send Charlie.
Yeah, right. Yeah. He's back at camp.
Because I'm like, is he there now? I'm like, is this guy just part of the crew? Like, I don't know.
Like, are we pretending he was always here?
He was just always there.
He's just lagging behind a little, I guess.
Let's see here. Well, this was episode 7, so there are, I think it is 10, so we still got 3 more. I'm expecting the winter to hit at some point. Uh, maybe that'll just be like maybe the next episode or the one at maybe the one leading to the finale. It'll just be one episode of just them dealing with the winter. That it seems to be the case at this point where they're going because we have to get to the point at how the show opened, where the battle takes place and Elsa is shot with the arrow. And so will that be in episode 9? Will that be episode 10? I don't know. Or wouldn't it be some shit if it's in none of them and it's just like season 2?
Yeah, I
Like,
was curious about that. Because there's a couple of hints in there that it's much later on. Because one of the things I was thinking about was like, well, she was wearing a dress when that happened. Like she wasn't wearing the pants and
that's a
you know
good
her,
point.
her short sleeve outfit. So it feels like maybe they settled by the time this happened. You know, so it could be last episode or it could be like you said a season 2 of some kind.
Yeah, because right now her wardrobe is for riding and tending to the cattle and being a
Yeah, yeah,
cowboy.
absolutely. and and yeah, yeah, exactly. It seems like she was caught off guard. She's once again in a dress. She seemed very clean in that scene. So they must have made it and thought they were safe. Like, but yeah, like you said, winter. There's still winter looming, and I thought we'd be there by now. But like you said, we may get one episode of winter. It may be winter from here on out until the very end. 3 episodes, you said?
There should be 3. Yeah, this was 7, and there will be 10. So yeah, three more.
Well, that's more than enough.
Yeah, I think so. Let me see if they have the titles up real quick, and that'll be about it. A lot of content on the channel, everybody. We have Raised by Wolves, which I'm looking forward to watching episode 3. Was it just episode 3 that was up?
Yeah, just a single episode. They're not shotgunning them
Oh
at us this
yeah.
time.
Yeah, was not fond of the way they released them. No, I don't think they have the episode titles.
Yeah, previously it was like 2 episodes and 3 episodes, and to hell with
Yeah,
it, we'll just release the rest.
yeah, I think HBO Max has finally figured out the proper way. Okay, the next episode is titled "The Weep of Surrender."
Oh boy, ooh, that sounds like it might be about what we just talked about.
The final, so episode 9 doesn't have. Oh yeah, it does. Is that the name of the episode? It just says 1.9. I don't know if that's the title. Episode 10, it says Hell's Half Acre.
Hill's Half Acre.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm getting this from IMDb. So, all right. I think that's about it. Anything else you wanted to discuss?
Nothing really, other than the fact that after this, I'm definitely watching Yellowstone.
Yeah, me too.
If this is what Yellowstone's like, then please definitely let us know in the comments because like I'm trying to make some time to check it out, and I'm really looking forward to it if this is the show.
Yeah, because it got renewed for another season, which will probably be a year or so off. So I think that's plenty of time to catch up before the next one hits. So yeah, like I said, we have other stuff on the channel going on. We got Raised by Wolves reviews of The Righteous Gemstones. Big Sky is about to come back in a couple weeks. What else? Oh yeah, Snowfall. Snowfall's about to hit. So
Yeah.
definitely check out the reviews. Leave a comment, leave a like. Appreciate everyone listening, and we will see y'all next time. Bye.